Who want a ticket straight to them pearly gates?
I seen a post on the Tekken subreddit that caught my attention. It says Harada explaining why some legacy characters are missing from Tekken 8's launch roster. There's 3 screenshots on this, and I also have the most upvoted comment that I just want to read and talk about and break down, because of course the roster, I don't know if you guys would consider it kind of controversial. Comment down below, is the roster controversial? I think it's pretty solid. 32 characters, that's 4 less than Tekken 7, but I think Tekken 7 had a lot of trash in it. And if you remove all that trash, Tekken 8 not only would have more, but better. I think quality is what Tekken 8 is truly trying to offer. Yes, there's fan favorites missing, but I think it was pretty much obvious that some characters were going to be gone because 1, 51 to 30, that's a lot. But then 2, you talk about DLC. People say, why is Shahid there? But what are you going to buy as DLC? Are you going to buy Eddie, Bruce, Armor King, Anna? Or are you going to buy Shahid as DLC? It's obvious why he's there and others are not. But let's read. The question: Sanchez and Reina have been added as new characters. It appears that a lot of characters' motions from previous works have been borrowed. Are there any plans for more new characters using existing characters' resources? There's a second part to this question, but let's talk about this first one. Reina and Sanchez are used, so basically Sanchez has a lot of Kunimitsu, a lot of Noctis, and even some Master Raven in there. It's interesting how they reworked all those characters and created this new one. Also, the range on Sanchez is ridiculous. But then Reina, people are saying, because I haven't played the game, so I can only go off of what people are saying. People are saying that she's not really like Heihachi at all, and something totally different, more Lydia than Heihachi. Is that actually the case? I don't know. I did see a tweet from High Buff Gigas posted on the Tekken subreddit that listed out how many stances she has. Everyone was panicking looking at those stances, but me as a Yoshi main, bro, that's nothing. That's cake. Okay, the second half of this comment says, also players who liked some characters from previous games are dissatisfied with their favorite characters not appearing. Please tell us about this. Before we get into the response from general producer Harada, I do want to just focus a little bit on Eddie. Eddie is kind of like the perfect character to save as DLC. He's beloved, he's an icon, but his usage isn't that high. So that means removing him from the game, you won't have a lot of characters being playerless. The amount of characters will be smaller. But then also the fact that he is an icon means that everyone feels that blow. Everyone will celebrate his return. Once again, I ask you the question, who would you buy, Eddie or Shahid? Harada says, there is an option that Victor was based on Noctis and Kunimitsu. Not at all. Completely newly developed. Although Reina can be talked about in detail due to its setting. It can be said that since she uses the Mishima's clan secrets karate, she may have brought in past work motions. However, as there was no female character who used Mishima's clan's secret martial arts, I hope she's focused on and her detailed movements, etc. So this is basically what they're talking about, right? She doesn't use the Mishima style that we're used to. She's basically using some secret Discord tech. She's digging really deep into the Mishima lore, and that is where she's pulling her fighting style from. So yes, there's some stuff in there that's from Heihachi, Electrics, and Omen and stuff like that, but it's a lot of new secret stuff that we haven't. And I don't want to get too deep into the lore, but it seems like they're going to be focusing very heavily on the origins of the Mishima Zaibatsu, and her having that secret fighting style seems like they may explore that through her, the samurais, the demons, the gods. Keep in mind, all of that stuff is being displayed in her dojo. That's just more evidence connecting her to that past heritage that the developers is teasing. It's interesting though, jumping back up to where they say Sanchez was based on Noctis and Kunimitsu. That's not at all. So basically saying that's not true. I mean, they could say that, but we see the moves. We can identify the same strings, the same hop kicks, the same 222 animations, right? The second half of this says, I think the idea that past characters may be disappearing is a story that follows all the characters based in fighting games. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so that is something true, right? Every game you do, you know that there's going to be characters missing. There's going to be new characters that takes their place. That's how fighting games work. He says, if we take the wishes of fans of previous works to the extreme and resurrect all past characters, there will be complaints asking why are there no new characters. This is also something that I agree with. You can't do that. You can't just make Tekken 3 forever, Tekken 5 forever, right? And people say, oh, you only say that because you're a Yoshi main. Yoshi's in every game. In other games, Street Fighter, my favorite character ever is Bison. He's gone. For Mortal Kombat, my favorite character is Quan Chi and Ermac. Those two characters are DLC. I have to wait like a year for Ermac. That's my guy. Continuing with the response from Harada, it says, on the contrary, if only new characters are released, it is pointed out there are no characters from past. So if you increase the number of characters to about 80, you are criticized as to when to learn all the characters' skills. This, once again, I think this is a jab at Tekken Tag Tournament 2. One of the biggest rosters ever. It was too much to learn. This is kind of a jab at that, in my opinion. I would appreciate it if you could understand that this is the result of the consideration for many aspects. Now, I think most people understand this, but there's just a few people out there who's ruthless, vicious. They can't take no for an answer. They won't take no for an answer. And that's it. Here's the top most upvoted response to this. Whoever asked the question phrased it in the worst possible way, while also beating around the bush enough that what they actually wanted to know got lost in translation. I thought that was an interesting take on this whole thing. If you go back to the question, it says, are there any plans for new characters using existing character resources? That was the question, and then that was Harada's response.